Hello, my Skylanders, and welcome to the final episode of Bubsy 3D, which is the epilogue. And this is going to work kind of like sequiliuts. We're going to talk about the things that went right with the game, things that went wrong with the game, why the game was so broken and unfinished because of like Accolade going down the drain and what could have been, and so on and so forth. You'll pick it up as we go along. I wanted to do something more like this to give my actual proper thoughts on the game, rather than just saying like what I did with Casper, smashing the cursed disc to pieces and burying it in an ancient forest somewhere, never to be resurrected by man again, because Casper is pure evil. So, let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right into Bubsy 3D.
The first thing I'd like to talk about is the controls, and they're not so much bad as more unfinished. Because what you have to do is you have to aim Bubsy, so you move left and right, and then you point him in the direction that you want him to go. So the best way to explain this is to show you. So as you can see here, you have to press the left or right to turn him in the direction you want, like so. And then when you have your chosen direction, you then press forward to make him go forwards, and so forth. This in turn leads to all of Bubsy's problems, because in a level like the one we're in now, you've got a big open area, so the controls really don't hinder you too much, because you've got a big open area, there's not a lot of enemies in this area, and you basically have time to plan in which direction you want Bubsy to face, and which direction you want him to go. However, on the flip side to this, when you get to levels like the final stretch here, the controls really hinder you, because you'll be in a tight space and you're going to have a shit ton of enemies all firing at you, and it's going to be really hard to try and avoid taking damage, because you have to try and run forwards while turning him at the same time. And even now I'm trying to jump to make sure that I don't get hit, but I'm still getting hit anyway, because of how bad the controls are. Because what you need now in a level like this is, you know, Mario controls. This is where the fluent motion would really help, instead of this stiff turning left and right style thing. I mean, all the other controls are fine. Like, your jumping here is fine. I know people say they have a bit of a problem with the jumping, when every time Bubsy jumps you aim down at the floor. But I understand that. It was to help you see where you were landing and help you land on top of the woolies, which we'll get to in a minute, because I've heard complaints about the hitbox. But yeah, the jumping itself works fine, but it's more positioning yourself in the air, because while you're in the air, you still have this weird left and move Bubsy left and right and then forward control. So the jumping, the gliding, the swimming, they all work fine, like, as their own mechanics. Like, the jumping works fine as its own mechanic. But when you have to combine it with the actual lefty-right control scheme, I don't know the best way to explain this, but when you use the jumping in with the lefty-right unfinished control scheme, that's when everything starts to break down. And now I'm going to talk about the hitboxes really quickly, because people have said that the hitboxes are broken, and every time you go to jump on an enemy, sometimes you'll take damage even though you clearly landed on top of it. But as I've been demonstrating here, that's not the case. The hitbox is actually more lenient than broken. Because look, I wasn't even touching that guy and I still managed to get him on the head. And this is me purposely trying to get hit. Like, I am purposely trying to get as close as I can to these woolies and actually get damage taken, like, by jumping on them. And as you can see, it's just not happening. So there's that basically myth busted, because the enemy hitboxes are really lenient. There's no way, I mean, I don't know how it works. I have seen it done when other people have played it, but in me actually purposely trying to get hit by jumping on a head, it's impossible. Like, that time I got hit because of stone, but as in actual trying to jump on a woolly's head and take damage from jumping on their head, it's not possible for me. Like, the hitbox I found by purposely trying there was super lenient, and yeah, like that. Okay, so that time was probably the only time where the hitbox might be slightly broken, but I think I was a little bit off. But again, the fan works fine. I'm just going to flick over to the fan. As you can see, I can glide up the fan easily. The fan works fine. However, when you're in the air, you once again have to use the turn left, turn right controls to control your gliding, which makes it 1,000 times harder. So all of Bubsy's problems are less the mechanics like jumping and gliding and swimming, and more when you combine those separate mechanics with the main controls. But that's enough ragging on the controls, because that is mainly the biggest problem. So let's next move on to the actual mechanic of the game. So your objective in the game is to collect 32 rockets, 2 in every level, which is fine. That's how most games go. In Spyro, you're here to collect crystal dragons or orbs or so forth. But we do reach a problem of how Bubsy's levels are designed, in which there are only 2 rockets and nothing else of value. Like, I know Bubsy says get as many atoms as you can for extra lives, and this is one of the cases of the jumping screwing you over. So I'll admit, sometimes the jumping looking down can screw you over, because as you can see, there is this thing in my way and I can't tell where I'm jumping on the woolly. But going back to the rockets. So there is rockets and nothing else. You are supposed to collect the atoms, but because the levels are so big and sweeping and go on forever, and there's only 2 rockets hidden, you're already going to spend 40 minutes to an hour looking for these rockets, because sometimes, like in the final level, they are very cryptic and very hidden. I don't mind that. I enjoy cryptic hidden puzzles. I love Legend of Zelda. I love lots of puzzles like Fez. Fez! Why are you not out on Steam? Why are you reserved only for Xbox Live? Please, Fez, come out on Steam. But yeah, I love cryptic puzzles like Fez. I love all of the brain teasers and trying to figure out why I can't get that rocket, why it's behind the cube, and having to go find the combination. That's good. That is a good level design. However, because the levels are so big and you've only got 2 rockets, it makes me be like, that's all I want to do. Because when Bubsy says, get all the atoms for extra lives, it's like, no, I don't want to do that. It's already taken me like 40 minutes to solve this puzzle and get the rocket, so getting all of the atoms is just going to waste even more time, and there's no real incentive to get them anyway, because you can just go back to the first level and grind up an infinite number of lives, as you saw on my final episode for the queens. It's just like, oh, well, you know, I'm not going to have enough to take out the queen, so I'm just going to go back to level 1 and play that a few times to grind up lives. So the atoms are just basically showpieces. Like, as you can see, I'm running past them. Like, they're there for no reason. There's no reason for them to exist. So I think what you would want to do, if you want to keep these levels, that's fine, because the levels were enjoyable. They were quite puzzling and some of them quite challenging. But if you want to keep these big sweeping levels, you need to put more stuff in them. Like, for example, the rockets are obviously your main goal, to escape Rayon, but on the side, as a completion bonus, have something, thinking alien, like falling stars. And there's 1 fallen star in each level, and collecting all the fallen stars would give you like a special bonus ending or something for 110% complete, etc. So that's 1. Number 2, make me want to explore the level for not only the rockets. I know I just said about fallen stars, but another thing which could have improved the game is something like the 8 red coins of Mario, where you have to search the entire level for like 8 red coins. I don't know what they'd be, 8 blue atoms, considering there's no blue on these atoms. But yeah, you know, searching the entire level for 8 special things, because that'd make the level a lot more enjoyable to explore, rather than me going the wrong way. Like, I know this is definitely the wrong way to the rocket. Like, me going this way, going all the way around this stupid path, and then be like, there's no rocket! Oh, now I've got to backtrack, I've got to go round in circles, and there was nothing on this path that was of any use. It was just a diversion path, which has nothing on it. Like, even if it had a sign saying, you fucked up, go the other way, it would have been a little bit better, because it's like, oh, well, thanks for telling me I went the wrong way, because as you can see, it's still going, and for someone who's playing it for the first time, as I did as a child, you would think, oh, well, maybe I've just got to keep going round in a circle, and you just end up going round and round in circles with no real way of finding out where the rockets are, except by chance or by a strategy guide, which you now have thanks to me, because the strategy guide was never made, because some of those final levels I was like, I just want to know where the rockets are, because I was running around some of those final levels for like an hour. It's like, I just want to know where they are. Bubsy, walkthrough, game FAQ don't exist. Does not exist. So that was fun. So yeah, on level design, you've got a nice level design, don't get me wrong. You've got big sweeping levels that you want to explore, but they're empty. You need to have more things in them. You need to have like red coins, you need to have fallen stars or some extra bonus item. You need to have things in the level rather than just the 2 rockets, because you have this big sweeping level and I feel like potential was missed at that point, you know, to add extra stuff or, you know, do something else. On the other hand though, the underwater levels, which we'll talk about right now, are perfect. Because that's how it's supposed to be. Let's just flick over to the underwater level here. And this is what an underwater level should look like. It should look barren. And both the draw distance and the amount of things in the ocean levels make me enjoy this ocean level. Like, this is the perfect way to do an ocean level, in my opinion. Because you have stuff like the Majora's Mask Water Temple. I'd rather drown. Which has a very close space and lots of crap in it, and it's like, ugh. And then you have stuff like Minecraft Chicks Endless Oceans in Minecraft, which just go on forever and ever, and there's not anything in it, not a single island, not a single fish. So Bubsy's found a happy medium, and this is probably the only underwater levels I enjoy, because it feels like a real ocean. It feels like a proper underwater level, because you are in this vast ocean, obviously, and they have done, I can't really explain how to do draw distances, but they've done the draw distance in such a way that at some points of swimming around, you can't see the back wall, and you're like, oh god, when does this ocean end? But at the same time, there is like these little valleys here to say, okay, so this is the way to proceed to the next area, and you swim through these ravines. And that's how an underwater level should be. It should be really open and make you feel like you're in a vast ocean, but still have like little craters and ravines like this to say, look, the ocean's not one big flat surface, there is like little valleys. And unlike Minecraft Chicks Endless Ocean, there's stuff in it. It's a big expansive ocean, but look, there's woolies, there is a dogfish to my right. Those cubes I assume were supposed to be pieces of coral, but they never finished the coral. So there is enough stuff inside this ocean to make you feel like you're in an ocean and make you feel like it's not just a waste of space, it's not just a big blue void of nothing. You have coral reefs, I know they're just cubes, but bear with me, you have coral reefs, you have these big like ravine-shaped structures to say, look, the ocean is not flat and there is like atoms and rockets here as collectibles if you want them. Obviously you want the rockets, but the atoms are optional. And the swimming mechanics aren't broken. Like, for Bubsy's controls, swimming is probably the best thing, because you are no longer restricted to like going forwards. I can't explain how to go forwards, but when you're swimming, this is how swimming should be. Like, when you're underwater and you punch underwater in real life, your punch is slowed. So for swimming, moving left and right, you're slowed down. This is Bubsy's proper controls for swimming, because you are slowed down and you feel like you're in water physics, and you can easily move up and down through all, you know, the dimensions and stuff properly. So even though the overworld levels are bad, because there's nothing in them and you don't want to explore, in the underwater levels, it's perfect. The controls are perfect, and how they have made the actual area and where they've placed stuff in the actual area, like the coral reefs, works fine. But again, we flip to a con of the bosses. So the bosses are tricky to explain, because the bosses waver in difficulty, and as I say, you have bad levels, then you have the underwater levels, which I praise, and then you have bad bosses. So I'm doing pro-con thing. We're going to the bosses though. The boss difficulty wavers a bit too much, I feel like. The boss difficulty is too all over the place. Like the first boss, hard as shit, because you're on a small area, you have this guy shooting mustard balls, and by the time you've turned, he's already shot a ball in your face and you're going to die. And he is really tough. I mean, I enjoy him because it's certainly a different boss, it's certainly something different that you have to use his weapon against him to try and like get up high to glide down on top of him, and sometimes like that you won't be able to reach him. So it's very nice and strategic, but once again the controls lay it down. But because lost track there, but the controls lay it down, and also because of the controls, it makes him a really challenging boss, and he is the first boss. So whereas the first boss is ridiculously hard because you have to do some crazy gliding and jumping, the second to last boss, the twin-headed woolly, is a piece of piss! Look, we just beat him in one hit! I mean, it's technically 3 hits, but you can do that glitch there where you can just continuously hit him and basically stun lock him, boss defeated. And then, straight after that, like literally 2 minutes after that, we go into the Queens of Rayon, where they kick your ass if you're not on a good day. So, let's just go up to the Queens here. And once again, we'll just glide over here. But yeah, so you had a hard boss as the first boss. The second to last boss, who should technically be hard, is easy and you can beat him in one hit. And then you go back to the final boss and they can kick your ass on a bad day. Like, how I did that on the final episode of Bubsy, I don't know. I honestly do not know how I did that, and now I'm getting my ass kicked. Yes, Polly and Esther, this is your revenge against me. Because yeah, you have to make it onto their arena, you have to shoot at them while they're shooting you, and dodge while you're also shooting. And every time you have fired an atom, you have to make it back into the centre of the arena, hit that switch, grab an atom, and then aim it. And sometimes while you're aiming, you take too long and it blows up in your face, making the Queens a very... And look how much she was firing then! Did you see all those shots that I would not have been able to avoid if I was in not invincibility mode? Because that was like pew, pew, pew. So yeah, if you get closer to them, obviously they fire faster, as she was there. So it makes the Queens ridiculously challenging. And that's fine for a final boss. You know, as a final boss, that's what the Queens should be. They should be kicking my ass. I want the Queens to kick my ass, because that's how a final boss should be. But because, like, the second to last boss is so easy, but then the first boss is so challenging, I think the difficulty needs tweaking. The difficulty needs tweaking quite a lot. Like, you need to have consistent difficulty. Where, I mean, I saw this in levels as well. Like, Days of Thunder, you heard me, like, going, what's the point of the checkpoint? There's no fucking point of the checkpoint because you go back. But then in the very next level, it's like, oh, well, this is hard, but it's not too bad. So the difficulty wavers too much. You need to have a consistent difficulty, Bubsy. You need to start off easy with the easy boss, which is easy. Then you need to have the medium boss, which is medium, and then the twin-headed woolly should also be kicking my ass. He shouldn't be able to be stun-locked for a start. That is your biggest flaw. Why is the twin-headed woolly being able to be stun-locked? And your levels, like your final levels, shouldn't be going, what's the point of the checkpoint, and me going crazy, and then saying, oh, well, actually, this one wasn't too hard. They should be all consistently saying, this is hard, what's the point of the checkpoint? They should all constantly be doing that. And you need to have a consistent difficulty level. Also, this is an example of the Queen's stunlock and you making them total bullshit. You stunlock the twin-headed woolly, now they will stunlock you, and now I'm dead, even though I clearly shot her. So, yeah. Also fix the Queen's stun locking would be quite a good thing, because so that happens quite a lot. You may see that 1 or 2 more times while I finish off my little difficulty thing and move on to like my final summary of the game. But yes, maybe I'll be stun locked again. And one other thing is, she can also hit you as soon as you come onto the arena. Luckily that time she didn't, but she is always in that same position. Look at how many shots she fires! Did you see that? That's what I meant about difficulty. This is a final boss, and obviously these don't need tweaking. These are perfectly fine as the final boss, because damn, they are hard as crap. And once again, I completely amaze myself with the fact that I managed to beat both of them first go. That is... something happened that day, and I attained the powers of time and space. But, there again, she shot me. But yeah, so that's the whole point of the difficulty. You need to have consistent difficulty, opposed to like easy, challenging, then another easy boss, then a super easy final boss, and then the Queen's just kicking your ass. You need to have like easy, medium, hard, all in a row, not like easy, medium, hard, and so forth. So let's now talk about the final thing. Let's wrap this up. So, this is the most pettiest thing I've ever had to come up with, and I always say, better graphics don't make a better game. That is so true on so many occasions. Better graphics do not make a better game. Except this is the one exception I'll probably have to make. Like, I don't want to, because it goes against like everything I think about. Like, look, just because Castlevania 1's got bad graphics doesn't make it a bad game, does it? What's better, Castlevania 1 or Lords of Plywood, Shadows, crap? Obviously it's Castlevania 1 because everybody hates it. What's better, Super Metroid or Other M? Oh, let's not open up that can of worms, shall we? So yeah, that's my thing that I like say, better graphics don't make better game. But this is the one exception I'm going to have to make, because nothing's consistent for a start. And this might just be my OCD kicking up, but if you're gonna have a checkerboard pattern, like I don't mind there being a checkerboard pattern on the floor, but at least make it constant checkerboard pattern, opposed to like this, because you've got some purple squares here, and then they just end and a few more start there, so there's no consistency with the checkerboard. So that it's like, why? Just either have it a checkerboard or have it a solid yellow, you know, like a desert, I guess. I mean, for the green, the only thing I can think of for the green is like these darker green patches were going to be like tall grass, but the tall grass was never implemented. But it's just like, ugh. So Bubsy definitely needs a graphical update, and you know, opposed to like Spyro, you've seen like Spyro and Crash Bandicoot, this could easily have had that if, you know, Accolade did not go into liquidation. Anyway, we're going to do one thing now and then we're going to end this off. So what we're going to do is we are going to run through the first level of Bubsy again, and then I'm going to show you just what you can do with a simple $20 program. And I'll talk about like remakes as we're running through it and such. So, yeah, I'm going to go back to the beginning in a minute. There's just one other thing I have to say. Get rid of Bubsy talking. Because I don't know if he'll do it anymore. Like, because it just activates randomly, I found. Like, being hit by an enemy, hitting an enemy, it's just all kind of random when it activates. Touching an arrow sometimes activates it. There may be a pattern to it, but even, like, I've had him talk just by falling off a platform. Like, one of these platforms above me in the first level, he'll fall off, and he'll be like... So, one last thing. Stop Bubsy from talking. Either just have a silent protagonist, or if he's gonna talk, just have him talk like Mario. Just have him say something when he gets a rocket, just or ends a level. Just like one big main thing. Don't have him talking every single time something happens, because it can get very frustrating. Obviously, I've been talking throughout the Bubsy Let's Play, so you have not heard his voice. But I've heard his voice in my ear, and it's been nails on the chalkboard to put up with that. So we're just running through the level now to show off all of the level, and then we're going to do something kind of interesting. So we would go over here, and I'm just going to show off this bonus area with the clams on purpose. We're not going to activate the clams, but there's the bonus area with the clams, just to let you know it's there in case you have not watched part 1 and you didn't see the first level. And then we're going to just run over here to this switch, which will activate the wall. Oh god, Bubsy's talking again. Bubsy, stop, please. Again, you can't hear that, but I can in my ear. So that's why I say, just either make him like Mario, where he only talks once in a while, or have him like Crash Bandicoot and have him as a silent protagonist. Preferably Crash Bandicoot. So we'll shoot that Wooly for extra life, and we'll go over to this tree area here, or I guess these are supposed to be trees. They're like, stumps with a couple of orange leaves on them. And there's the bonus area where the rocket was, which you jump up those platforms to get the rocket. Obviously we already do have the rocket, so there's no need to go over there. And then we'll just jump onto this platform here. Oh, come on, it's being a bit slow, but it'll be worth it, don't worry. And we're not going to fight the enemies either. So you would just jump over here, you would hit this, and you would make Bubsy talk again. Stop talking. And we'll just run past all these, and we will grab this thing and run through all these. So this would be a valley where you would kill enemies. And then you have to go up and activate that switch to activate the platforms to get to the end of the level. So we'll just do that right now. So we'll hit this and go platform. Just line myself up with the platform. Come on, platform. Come on, platform. Come faster. Come faster. Come on. This video, I'm looking at my Audacity, has already been going for 25 minutes. So I definitely need to wrap up by now. So we jump on the platform, and when the platform moves, go faster, okay? And there we go, we jump off, and there is the end of the level. So that is a run through of the first level. Now, how about we reset back to the beginning of the level right now, and we do a little bit of editing magic. Ooh. So obviously this polygonal mountain stuff is obviously not what we want. We want to see something that looks a lot more finished, because obviously nothing's been rendered or smooth, so let's have a nice extra textural update. Ooh, look at that. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? We've actually got some, I mean, it's all squares, but it's a lot better than that polygonal stuff that we had. And the sun is out, and we've actually got some fluent movement, which we'll talk about in a minute. So now that we've got some updated textures, how about we give it a HD coat of paint? Oh, look at that. Look at that. We actually have stone mountains. I hurt my fingers by snapping my fingers there. That actually hurt. But yeah, we have stone mountains. And now I'm going to run through the level as if it was a remake. So we'd have more fluent controls. As you can see, look how fast I'm moving now with these fluent controls. So I just put this stuff in here for it because I didn't really know what I wanted to do with the remake thing. But yeah, this is like kind of a bonus area. Oh, I put that fire out. This is like kind of a bonus area where a meteorite dropped down, and in the meteorite crater is one of those fallen stars we talked about earlier, where there could be one in each level. And then we got to get out of here. Obviously I'm in creative mode because basically I suck at parkour, and I can see myself like screwing parkour up so terribly bad. And yeah, we've actually got the grass is no longer checkerboarded. If there was tall grass there, I have put the tall grass in for them. And wow, that was like really sucky. And we have just the regular platforms. I didn't really know what those platforms were, so I just made them out of snow, because I didn't really know what those platforms were supposed to be. And here is where I said I suck at parkour. Surely someone who is better than me could probably pull this off first go and just hit like all 3 of these jumps first go. But yeah, so then you'd come around here to that bonus area I showed you. And that's where your bonus area would be, operated by a creeper face or represented by a creeper face in Minecraft. And you'll come down here and it'll teach you about like your enemies, because the enemies, as you saw in the first level, don't attack you. These 3 are just purely tutorial based. Here's that switch, and when you hit the switch, rather than just a big thing that says wall exploding, the wall just explodes normally and drops down, opening up the next area. And then coming into here, here's where that woolly was for an extra life. So we can easily shoot, oh I guess it only takes 1 shot because I'm in Minecraft. But yeah, we can easily shoot, oh, no, whoa, that's quite far for the trade. But yeah, we can easily shoot the woolly. The woolly will then activate this secret area, and we can pick up our first extra life. All those chests on the jumps for extra life. And then we come over here and look, trees! The trees are finished, and I tried to make them alien by having like the stumps different. And then to get the rocket, we just activate a secret in here. So, ooh, there's some TNT. And then, boom. And, oh, that didn't work out as I planned. That was not expected. When I tested that worked last time. But yeah, so you would open up the bonus area, and obviously jumping on the checkerboards would teleport you back here. So I would have failed that, and we'll try again. And again. And you would eventually just jump your way... You would just jump your way up to the top, where you would be able to get your first rocket, which is up there. So you'd have to jump. I'm only going to have one more go at this. As you can see, This is why I say I suck at parkour. So yeah, you would jump around and you would get your first rocket with Bubsy. So we just open that. I do not have the texture pack for the rocket, but as you can see it says there rocket. That is definitely a rocket, so Bubsy would have got his first rocket, and we would leave the bonus area and move on to where all the enemies are, and it teaches us about enemies. And look, there's even some flowers on the ground, just to say, hey look, not only have we given it a HD texture pack, but we've also added a little bit more detail than just the tall grass. We've got some flowers. So you jump over here for an extra life, which I can't remember if that was in the first level or not. And then you would have to learn how to fight enemies, represented here by butter golems. So we would just bypass all them, and then you would come around here, down this valley, and here would be where that electric thunderbolt thing was. And this didn't really work. I thought what you could do is eat a golden apple to get like super regeneration, and then just like stack splash potions of healing and just be like, boom, I have killed you all. But splash potions don't stack. But yeah, so that would be that level, and then you would like jump up some platforms and hit a switch to get your second rocket. Of course, I am not good with redstone, so there's no way that I could rig that up to make this platform move across the death water, which actually works. I tried that on survival. So yeah, you would jump across the moving platform, you would grab the rocket, which is in this box here, and then once you've got both of them, you would touch the warning sign thing and be dropped into either a bonus area if you've got enough atoms, or you would just like go on to the next area represented by this gold thing, but I never made in the next area. So yeah, that is basically what you could do with a $20 program. I'm using American because I know I've got more American viewers. But with a simple $20 program, I've already given it a HD coat of paint, I have given it better controls, and we have fixed half of the problems that was already wrong with this game. So if you give a company like Naughty Dog even a small budget, like £1,000 or $1,000, because remember this was what I could do with $20. So if you give them even like $1,000, they could remake it so well. And obviously, we're just going to talk about this. There was no staff. This was the entire team. Dick, I can't even say that because I'm not sure if that's an I or an L, had no one in their team. Even look at that bottom part. It's special thanks to the wives and husbands and friends who put up with the stress, and then there is the 8 people that worked at Accolade. So, considering there was only 8 people at Accolade, and then like another 8 in the actual programming staff, to bring out a AAA game was something. I have to give them this. Like, this is why I can't hate on the game, because they tried. They really tried. Somebody or a few people really put their heart and soul into this project, even though they knew that whatever they made was going to be terrible. They'd lost half their staff, and whatever they made was going to be a complete and utter terrible thing, but they still put everything they had into it, and they even like thanked the husbands and wives for putting up with the stress of like them going down the plug. So, is it the worst game? No. Would I play it again now I've completed it? No. There's certainly worse games, there's certainly better games. But I think this is one game that doesn't deserve all the criticism that it gets, simply purely because the company was going down the plug, but they still tried to bring something out, and it failed, but, you know, you've got to give them credit for trying. So that's my thoughts. It's not the best game. I would never play it again now that I've 100% completed it, but certainly it does deserve a little bit more kindness than most people give it. So I thank you all for joining me on this little run of Bubsy 3D and joining me in the epilogue. And I don't know what my next Let's Play is going to be. I'm still thinking that. I'm still mulling it over. I'm looking at games. But surely it'll come to me soon. Obviously, I can't have a big hiatus of not a Let's Play. I'm down to about 5, maybe 4, because I've narrowed it down from like 20 of like this, and then I was like, okay, so let's actually narrow this down to reasonable options. So I have picked out 5 games so far, so I'm just going to have a look at them, and I'll let you know what the next Let's Play is going to be pretty soon. I'm just going to talk to a few people to see if they'd be willing to make me a title card like the one you've been seeing at the end of every episode to link you to the next episodes and stuff. And this has been going on for nearly 40 minutes, so yeah, that is the end. So once more, thank all of you for watching. Thank all of you for subscribing. I mean, obviously, if you haven't subscribed, I'm not forcing you to. But for the ones that did subscribe during this project, I thank you all for subscribing. That was very nice of you. And I will now say farewell, and I will see all of you in the brand new Let's Play, whatever that may be. Obviously, there will be other stuff before that, like Pokemon, the Pokemon Let's Play, which is kind of a side project, but is ongoing, and the journey to the end of the world. But really, from one Let's Play to the next, I always say, I'll see all you guys in the next big Let's Play. And one last time, I thank you all for all your support.